Hi there folks, Steve here. Yeah, just wanted to talk about optimism. I am quite optimistic, even though sometimes, like probably many of you, in fact all of us, we get down, really down, like we're touching the bottom of the universe and everything goes black. Depression sets in, frustration, confusion, the state of the world. It seems sometimes that we're like one against everybody, against the whole world, like the individual against the masses, like the poor sorry me, like the piteous one. And in a way it is like that really. If you look in law, one person gets individually convicted, and so if you break the law or something, you've got the entire police force and potentially the military against you as a single person. You can get arrested and thrown in a prison cell completely alone, and you've got the whole world against you. You can write a book or make a video of an opinion that you have and have the whole world against you. Sometimes it feels like that. Sometimes it feels like there's no solutions, and then even when you find your way back into good happiness, there seems to be so many horrors in the world, so many bad things, so much corruption, all these secret societies, and the fear and panic, and even aliens. Are they good or bad? Are they going to all blow us to pieces, or are they going to teach us new consciousness? What does 2012 mean to the people, to everybody? So many films about 2012 being like the final day, apocalypse day. And then there's all these scientific things about the world, global warming and all of these things that have been corrupted and faked for whatever purposes. And sometimes I think that the so-called secret societies get much more credit than they deserve, really, if credit's the right word. There's a lot of madness in the world, and you can't really blame everything on a control system. Obviously, like money is one thing that holds people in a kind of strange sentiment about things, especially creative people and artists and people who are trying to sell intellectual property, trying to sell ideas, trying to make money from music, from sound, from something that doesn't really exist, like a chair or a table or oil. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to earn money in society and follow their dream to the full extent. A lot of people take college. A lot of the friends that I've known who've gone to college have pretty much disappeared from my world. They've pretty much lost sight of their own dreams a lot of the times that they started out with, and end up usually working for a corporation, just doing something, carrying out jobs from higher sources, from the employer. So they never actually finally make their destination of turning the dreams to life. So, and it was all this kind of needing a certificate of ability, all these degrees, college degrees and titles and things to make them have a better future. But the thing is, it's like a kind of a dry rot that sets into the soul. The longer you wait with your childhood dream, the more the rot reaches all parts of your body. And but it is a difficult society. it's like out of its mind. It's lost its mind. It's like society on the whole has just gone completely crazy. Most people know. There's just a lot of people who don't know a lot of the other things that the other people don't know. And everybody holds it for absurd what somebody else says. When somebody else says, for example, chemtrails or contrails are sprayed chemicals from aeroplanes, and you'll get people, no, resisting like crazy for whatever reason, I don't know. But then that person who disagrees with that theory will then have another theory about politics, and so there'll be disagreements on points where it becomes a conflict, really. Two theorists with conflicting arguments. So where was I going with this? Yeah, generally the people, the mentality of the people in general, it's mental, it's insane, as you know. And that's not a bad thing, really, probably. Obviously it's something we need to heal and deal with. But it is a part of a natural cycle, the way I see it, and you can see very much how nobody's really in control. There's some people have a great deal of influence, but at the end of the day, the individual you has got most of the control that you need. We, the people, as a majority, there's different majorities. It doesn't have to be one big majority. It's not a democracy here. It's just people. It's just you and I. We can get along. So humanity's going mad, really. And you can kind of see how it's taking on this natural course. Like I've explained before, a bit like growing up, from becoming an infant to a child to a teenager and going through puberty and teething and all of these different phases. We see it in trees and even into sun eruptions and planetary movements and stuff, these cycles. And we have to take into consideration that the human consciousness is a part of a natural cycle. So there's nobody really taking us on a journey. We're sort of just fooling ourselves, We've sort of like set up these little theatres and set up these little like novelties, and we've just overwhelmed each other into thinking that it's all real. Now you would say, a book is real or a cup is real. Well, it's no more real than anything else. So it's the fact that we actually take things too seriously, and to a certain degree, it has overlapped to the point of reality, tangible reality, and just ideological reality. It has overlapped. Especially on the internet, where you've got this medium is the thing. Essentially we're just experiencing ones and zeros. And you can see how what can be created. You can see this picture of me now. You can hear an image, and it's coming across a wire. It's ones and zeros. It's so simple. But when it enters the mind, the mind becomes overwhelmed. It's like when you set something up, or you drop some red liquid or something into water, and you look how it separates, and it's overwhelming, and it's wonderful to look at, and you think, wow, there's got to be something more to all of this universe. And it's like I can imagine, say, the creator, if you like. If there was a creator, sat there, he'd create the golden rule of life, or the golden, or she, the goddess, would create the golden thing, the golden principle to life, and from there it would expand from that seed, and she would sit back and look at that seed of creation, that evolution, whatever you want to call it, just the principle of the universe expanding, and just to be amazed, like watching a firework display, being amazed at the different unexpected little patterns and different symmetries that pop out in that process. There's not a random process, but it becomes overwhelming because of its complexity, and then through the recognition of patterns, gains its own beauty, like the nature. Obviously, the nature is an expansion of a universal principle in different ways, and we can see its chaotic order. We can see the way it's ordered. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to be in touch with that part of the universe for me. I like to dig deep, you know. Obviously we're playing in the sandpit, paddling pool, we're out and about, talking to people, you know, having a good time, opening our hearts. But when we get down to the nitty-gritty of closing our eyes and working out where are we and when are we, there's quite a lot of power there. There's quite a lot of craft, quite a lot of energy to be accessed from that thought. And you kind of realise then that all of these, that everything's secondary, you know, all of these conspiracies and all of these corruption and all of everything else. It definitely is secondary to the self, and to well, not the self, but to the worrying about the New World Order and all of this stuff has a use, if you get what I'm saying. But then you've got to turn that worry off and apply that use, otherwise you get eaten away. And sometimes it's like when you're having a day off from worrying about the world, if you worry about the world on a daily basis like I do, then it's nice to know that the world's worrying about itself when you're having a day off. To know that to know that it is an organic process that you can step in and out of and do good or leave it. You know, there's always 3 stages really. I'm just going to walk a little bit and then end this. There's always 3 stages for me really. There's the yin, yang and the yang. And I always find the yin and the yang a bit dualistic, a bit hard to deal with. You know, it's about the yang. It's about like the middle line. It's about feeling satisfied, you know, to accept the highs and lows, but to be satisfied. And I think that's one of the things our society's really done, is definitely pushed us down this dualistic way of thinking. You know, for me, satisfied is great. I feel great when I'm satisfied. I feel like I'm in bliss. When I'm happy, I can also feel the bliss, but it's a heartwarming happiness. You know, satisfaction isn't so heartwarming maybe, but it's just a glow, you know. So you've got a 2 in 3 chance of coming out good. You know, obviously everybody has the lows. And if you think about your own mind and how it has its ups and lows, and your own spirit, because we're often moved more by our mood, more by our spirit, more by our stomach than anything else. That's what really gets us out of our chair and doing things, is the spirit. So if you can move your spirit, your gut, if you get the guts to do something, then that's much more motivation. And that sometimes comes from the fact that your mind sends so many signals down to your stomach, that your stomach moves in a direction, it gets a mood. And like I was saying at the beginning of this video, humanity has this kind of these different moods, the way I observe it, and I see that it does go in different cycles, especially when we're interacting with technology, and the way technology is going, it's going to be trying to track us down, trying to pinpoint us much more. The idea of ID chips and everything's going to have identification. Everything will be doubled in a virtual world. That'll be all like on the new light network. And so technology is almost getting a mind of its own, and if we're not careful, that'll suck us down that route. But as far as humanity and consciousness goes, it's getting to the point where you notice people are just getting confused, and that confusion is probably going to be one of the most healthy things, when everyone gets so confused that they stop doing the things because it becomes a gamble to continue doing something that you're confused about. If you're confused, maybe you should stop doing the thing you're confused about. And that, in a way, is probably going to be something that crops up on a mass level, mass confusion. I think it maybe be triggered by various events and stuff. Especially the 2012 thing, and everybody talking about what's going to happen, and when nothing does happen, if nothing does happen, I'm not a prophet, but in my life, when somebody told me there's going to be something great happening, it was always a bit of a flop. I always had a bit of a giggle, and it was nice to know that the surprise wasn't such a big, surprise. I didn't want, parachuting holiday for my birthday present or anything. I'm happy with just a little cake. And that's the way I see the end of the world, really. It's just going to be that, just a minor change, and then it continues, and it's going to be the end of, the beginning of boredom, or the end of boredom, if you know what I mean. At the end of an old mood and the beginning of a new mood. That's enough anyway. I've been rambling on for 17 minutes. So I don't know what your thoughts are on the end of the world, and if you think there's any solutions, if you think the world's coming to an end. I'm not really too worried if you... Whatever, just write what you like. Yeah. Alright, have fun. And don't worry about the end of the world. Cheers.